Introducing AAC, or autoclaved aerated concrete. It's 4 basic ingredients: silica sand, Portland cement, hydrated lime, and water, and a minute amount of expansion agent, which is aluminum powder or aluminum paste, which chemically reacts with the hydrated lime and creates hydrogen gas, which aerates the material all the way through evenly. This block here is 8 inches by 12 inches by 24 inches. It's 1/5 the weight of concrete at that same dimension, okay? This block right here weighs about 48 pounds, the same as a 8/816 CMU block, okay? Except 8-inch CMU block has 2 large holes in it. This is a solid block, okay? One of the main topics that we want to deal with, of course, is fire prevention. And AAC will take just under 2,900 degrees without combusting and will basically melt when it breaks down because of the silica sand content. 2,900 degrees. Now the Twin Towers in New York went down at 2,300, okay? So you got approximately 600 degrees to go. They estimated the fire tornadoes in Redding, California, burning at 2,300 degrees. That's with the centrifugal force of a fire tornado. Again, it is non-combustible. It will not flame, okay? It will melt at 2,900. You're not going to deal with a fire situation that's going to come to that degree. Now this little example here is indicative of a few different things. And the thing of it is I could stand here as long as my arm could hold up this torch, okay? And I'm getting old. I can't hold it up as long as I used to. But the fact of the matter is, it would take it in my hands 1 inch away.
What size is that AAC piece?
Yeah.
In width?
1 inch. Okay, you all could still feel the heat on this outside. My hand's 1 inch away, and you're not going to feel it. Okay, as Patrick was explaining, the transfer of heat does not take place, and it's due to what's known in the thermal world as the dynamic benefit of the massive system. What the aeration helps to do is to spread the heat out. It's got to spread over the entire surface before it starts moving in. The same with the cold, okay? Same with cold. And we did a test in Arizona where we took a wall and we painted it, we gave it a full southern exposure. Painted it black on the outside, 4-inch thick material, full southern exposure, monitored the temperature from sunup to sundown. It got up to 162 degrees. 4 inches away on the inside, the temperature fluctuated 2 degrees, period. Being from Arizona, it gets hot down there. It gets hot. But this is also indicative of its thermal properties also, and what it does. Its compressive strength, this grade of block, it has a compressive strength of 580 psi. It will take wind loads. I've taken design plans to Guam in which it would withstand wind shear of 220 miles an hour. A lot of your shear strength is calculated through wind shear, okay? And it depends on your engineering design as to how much it'll take. I think it'll far exceed 220 when engineered properly. I did a consulting job in the Gulf of Mexico on the Mississippi shore. I consulted on 2 houses that were plantation-style homes. They withstood Katrina. Everything around it is destroyed, okay? As soon as electricity was restored, the people came back in, power washed the walls, and moved back in. Everything around it was destroyed. The AAC, you can put any kind of facade on it you want, basically. You can screw right into the block. What's amazing is you can put a 4-inch deck screw right next to each other, clear across this block, and you won't split the block. It'll take that. Your facade, I recommend stucco because it can go for 50 years without maintenance. Now, I want my house working for me, not me working for my house. Most of your homes in an environment like this, lap siding, whatever, you're painting it every 4 or 5 years. If you want to change the color of the house or the stucco, you come back with a cement stain it, and you have a whole different color. Okay, so those are many of the options. The stucco at a 1/2 inch thick makes the block waterproof, but still allows the block to breathe, which is a very important point in a structure, is that the structure is able to breathe. If not, you're going to create some issues with mold and so on and so forth. Another aspect about this block is it will not form mold. Mold takes 3 components. It takes heat, it takes moisture, and it takes a food source, which is cellulose. That comes in wood. This has nothing of that. It will not grow on this block because there's no food source for it. This material, unlike many of the other materials, insects, rodents, don't touch it. The minute they chew on it, they go, ooh, this stuff will kill me, and they walk away. I've seen ICF homes where the rodents came in, they brought their cousins, their aunts, and turned the polystyrene into condo buildings, which loses the insulation factor, and you've got all the issues of the rodents coming in. Insects will not touch this. They will chew on it one time and go, no. So, waterproof. The stucco at a 1/2 inch thick goes directly to the block. Now this is thicker than a 1/2 inch, but I put it on there for demonstration. It goes right to the block. A qualified stucco man can put a 1/2 inch on, come back, derby it, put whatever texture on it, walk away, one coat, one time. Where conventional cementitious stucco takes 4 trips around the building and a minimum of about 6 to 9 weeks to complete it, to get to your color coat. You've got to lath it. You've got to come back in, put your scratch coat on, wait 3 weeks, put your color coat or your scratch coat or brown coat on, wait 3 weeks, come back and put your color coat on. So you're going around the building 4 times. With this, you go around it 1 time. So there's huge savings beyond just the envelope or the walls. Huge savings. And again, at a 1/2 inch thick, it's waterproof, and I'm going to demonstrate it right here. Okay? That stucco is split in half. You would expect it to seep through that crack, but it doesn't. And if you can see it, I'm going to try and emphasize it a little bit. I'm going to make a separation here. And that's called true hydrophobia. Now, normally, that water should go through that crack. It doesn't. We could come back tomorrow, the same amount of water would still be there without evaporation. That's quite an attribute. Oh, golly. Paul, you're cleaning up, right?
Yeah, don't dump it in my bag, please.
Okay. Everyone could touch this, see it, feel it. It's dry as a bone. Okay? That's quite an advantage. The stucco also gives you a 2300 degree protection against fire. It also gives it more insulative value. Okay? And the same material used for the exterior can be used on the interior to plaster the interior. I believe that a plaster finish on the inside is much more elegant, much more than a knockdown orange peel on drywall. A plastered finish takes a whole lot of abuse and doesn't need repair. Okay? You can paint it with an exterior paint as long as you allow the material to breathe one side, outside or inside, one of the two. We use a magnesium oxide board for the roof sheathing, which takes 2,600 degrees. We use steel trusses and steel studs with the magnesium oxide board in place of drywall, which gives it 2,600 degrees protection too. Basically, as it is right now in California, we are building by far the most fireproof homes in California right now. Unquestionable, unquestionable. Fire has traumatically changed the lives of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. We're building a home right now in Paradise, California, where the wife, she was so traumatized that she virtually became convalescent. And that's a shame. It's a shame to see it. It's horrible to see it. She is still convalescent, okay? People don't understand the trauma that people go through after something like this. I believe Patrick could verify that quite a bit. There's an aspect about AAC that has not been utilized. In every major evacuation, emergency evacuation, people die in that evacuation. With the concept of AAC and the building of AAC, people could shelter in place and survive the fire. Many people in Paradise, the 85 people that died in Paradise, a lot of them died trying to evacuate and burned to death in their car. Grim pictures of what they found there, too. I was introduced to a couple in Santa Rosa, California. They got out of their house in time to jump over the neighbor's fence because they knew the neighbor had a swimming pool in the backyard. They grabbed pool towels as they jumped in the water and held the pool towels over the top of them and would come up to get air and so on. The wife ended up for a year and a half in a mental institute dealing with that. I don't think we can express the fear that takes place in a scenario such as that. I would think that burning to death has got to be one of the most horrible ways to go. As far as time and longevity, everybody talks about affordable housing, right? And it's become kind of a cliche. Does affordable housing mean the cheapest way to build? Or does it include, can you extrapolate the cost of energy savings over the years, maintenance over the years? Can you calculate all of that into what is affordable? Houses that have burned down and have to be rebuilt, how affordable is that? It's not. It's not. And you can talk to a lot of insurance companies that can testify to that right now, too. It's not affordable. Computer models out of Europe have put the longevity of this material in a home at 400 years, okay? 400 years, and that's as far out as those computer models went. The material has been around for right at 100 years now. It's the same formula that was developed in 1923, okay? It's the exact same formula, the exact same process. Nothing has had to be done to add to it, and it is as effective 100 years later as when it was first developed.
John, where are the closest manufacturing plants for AAC?
Sadly, right now, there's one in Monterrey, Mexico. There's one in Haines City, Florida, and there's a very small one in South Carolina. It's a one autoclave plant that only produces block. You can produce 20-foot long panels, 2 foot wide, depending on what kind of load it's going to carry, depends on the thickness of the material, what it'll be. They're steel reinforced. They can withstand loads of, thousands of pounds. I've set pallets of block on top of paneled floors. Each pallet of block weighs 3,200 pounds. So it's steel reinforced, very, very strong, and very, very soundproof too. Accepts the mechanical vibrations. Right now, to ship panels out of Monterey, Mexico or Haines, Florida is not real economical right now. That's why a plant here, or a plant, I'm working to have a plant built near Klamath Falls, Oregon. It would eliminate over 50% of the cost of the material. The shipping cost over doubles the cost of the material. Shipping from Monterey, and I'm the only one in the United States that ships by rail. If you were to ship it by truck, you couldn't do it. I can get 56 pallets on a rail car where you can only get 12 to 14 pallets on a truck. And a truck shipped up here would cost anywhere from $9,000 to $10,000 a truckload. That'd put it out of reach. I ship it by rail, and that's very much more cost effective, but because the shipping over doubles the price of the material. If you had a plant in a lot closer proximity, you'd cut the cost in half. These stick frame systems wouldn't stand a chance. Right now in California, we're beating stick framing to death, cost-wise. We're beating them to death right now, okay? And they talk about lumber prices are going down. They're not going to go down enough. Now imagine if I can get a plant in close proximity and cut that cost even by 50% more. There's no competition there. And if you had the opportunity, if you had the same house, same design, built on one lot, stick framed or another system, and an AAC, the same design over here, it should be a no-brainer in choosing which house you'd pick. It should be a no-brainer. You want a house to last 400 years, or do you want one to deteriorate, decompose, and virtually rot and come down? That's affordable housing also. That concept needs to be calculated into that wonderful catchphrase of affordable housing. You know, it's kind of like green building. Green building became so cliched that everything that came out that was new was considered green building. Well, no, it's not. It's not at all. So true green building is when you have a material that doesn't use raw materials such as our trees that are the lungs to this earth, or that we produce a polystyrene product that is made from petroleum and burns. There's one advantage to polystyrene in a house, and I've had ICF systems claim it to be fireproof. There's one advantage, is you don't need smoke alarms in your bedrooms, okay? Because the fumes will kill you before you get out of bed. That's what happens. That's what happens. And I've been in so many fire zones where ICF homes just destroyed the polystyrene on the outside, which means the concrete that's infilled in it, structurally it's gone also. And the cost effectiveness of that it's worthless. It's worthless. So I'm not going to badmouth any other systems. I'm going to put it this way. I've built with about every other one out there. And I'll put it simply that I'll never build out of those systems again since I've started building now for 20 years with this material. I'll never build out of one of those again. We were building SIP buildings in the 70s. Yeah. We built 3 of them. Won't build any more.
All right, John, I got a question for you then. I'm going to throw the gauntlet down. Are you prepared to put AAC up against SIP and other products? If I threw the gauntlet down and gave you a design, will you sit down here and build something here in Lytton? And we'll ask your competition to do the same. And let's see how much it costs. Let's see about energy efficiency. Let's see about constructability. And I'm talking about how fast does it take to get your building up and me in a bed. Are you prepared to accept that challenge?
All day long.
All right. The next question I have for you, John, then is, my name is Chief Patrick Michelle. I've never swung a hammer in my freaking life, Can I build this?
With sufficient training, yes. Yeah. And the thing of it is it's much easier than a CMU construction, okay? I've taken sheetrock crews, I've taken carpentry crews, hell, I've taken landscaping crews, concrete crews, and trained them. As long as you have the concept and understand the concept of level, plumb, and square, you can build it. Yeah.
All right, next question is, on June 30th, I lost all my tools. What specialty tools do I need to use to build with this?
One of the most important tool is a table bandsaw. Okay.
So you're just saying is this requires no special masonry tools, no rock saws?
It takes a table bandsaw that cuts the material very precisely, okay? That saw costs about $6,000, comes out of Germany, depending on the transfer of the German mark and the dollar, or the Canadian dollar, okay? I've developed specialty tools, for example, to drill for the O block, where the vertical reinforcement comes up through. I've developed rasps, okay, that you can shape and scope the block in any manner you can imagine. For a crew to get started effectively and to be able to produce homes in a short amount of time, they're going to require about $18,000 to $20,000 in tools. But those tools last job after job after job after job. They'll pay for themselves in the first 4 or 5 jobs.
Okay, John, so I've got a lot of questions for you yet, but the next one I wanted to talk to is you talked about the constructability. Thank you very much. And so tell me about energy efficiency. So will this product stay cool in the summer and warm in the winter?
I built a house in Las Vegas, Nevada in August. Imagine that. It was 108 degrees outside. We had no doors or windows in the home, and you walked in and it was 82 degrees. That's no doors or windows.
So again, you've got a product that keeps your house cool in the summer.
Yes.
My hometown reached 50 degrees Celsius, and this product here could have kept my interior cool.
Cool, yes.
But also, this material here could have stopped my home from burning if I had it.
Yes, yes.
All right. So
I built a warehouse on Oahu, okay? The man normally ran his air conditioning to keep his employees comfortable the whole 8 to 10 hours that they were working. Once it was built with AAC, he came in the morning, didn't turn the air conditioning on until 11 o'clock in the morning, ran it for 2 hours, shut it down, came back in the next day. It was cool up until 11 o'clock. Now everybody in Hawaii says, well, you know, we build so that the trade winds cool us. No, no. They all wish they had air conditioning, except a kilowatt hour in Hawaii is astronomically expensive. So I'm going to easily say that your energy costs in an area like this, you're going to save on heating and cooling 65% of your cost.
all right, thanks, John. One thing I noticed in the house that I lost is that when I'm in the basement, I can smell things. So tell me about AAC. You're just sitting here. Tell me about off-gassing. Tell me about the fact that this thing doesn't smell, or does it smell? Or does it smell?
No, there is no off-gassing whatsoever. Number one, there's no VOCs or volatile organic contaminants for it to smell. And it's autoclaved, okay? That means it's sterilized. Just like your medical surgical equipment. It's autoclaved, it's sterilized, yeah. And there's no off-gassing once it's installed. There's no off-gassing after it's manufactured. There's no off-gassing in its manufacturing except the creation of pure hydrogen gas.
All right, so I guess the next question for me then is, tell me a little bit about, I guess we'll talk about, and it's probably a misnomer. I live in Canada's hotspot, and at night, the heat of the outside is still in my building, so that's different from flame rating. You told me, and the people here today, that your product is withstand up to 2,900 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yes.
But I want to know how hot your product is at night.
It won't transfer into the house. I built a house for a woman in Spokane, Washington, where you've got a big variation in temperatures from night to day, okay? I told her to put in skylights. I told her to put in ceiling fans. In the morning, she'd get up, open the windows, turn on the fans, open the skylights, blow the old stuff out, suck in the new stuff, shut the windows down, the skylights. Never had air conditioning. In the wintertime, she was a baker. And when she got done baking, she left the oven doors open, heated her house with it. Never used anything. Its thermal efficiency is phenomenal.
That's the word, thermal efficiency. All right, you just told me about your 8-inch by 12-inch by 12-inch block.
By 24, yeah.
I want to know how much vapor barrier, insulation, and other things I need to do to add to your product.
0. No vapor barrier. No vapor barrier whatsoever.
So once it's up, it's up. I don't have to bring in substrates.
No, no.
Okay, so no vapor barrier. So tell me about drywall. Do I need to drywall over this?
No, no. You plaster right to it. Your electrical chases are cut into the wall. Once your Romex is run, anti-shrink patch over it, plaster right to it.
I want to hang a picture. Do I need a stud finder?
No, no.
Well, because there's no studs, I'm just saying is I'm exasperated because I didn't know about your material until after I lost my wood frame house.
Yeah,
I did everything I could to protect my house from a fire,
yep,
but the fire came anyway.
yep.
So I'm sitting here looking at this product not just as a man who lost his house along with his family. I'm a leader of a community that needs a product to protect my home for the next 100 years. But I also sat down here, and you also have people from the municipalities as well as other, the regional district, as well as other indigenous communities. Now, this product can be used for building new, but can your product be used as a form of renovations or retrofit so that the homes that that still stood standing after the Lytton fire, can this product be used to somehow bring up its fire resistance or tolerance?
You can they manufacture a 2-inch panel. It also is steel reinforced and a 3-inch panel, okay? Comes by 4-foot by 7-foot panels. You can take the siding off of a building, extend your windows out, put the panels on, and you've got a very good fire rating, okay?
Is it 2,900?
Yep.
All
Yep.
right. So what happens here is that because now we have a challenge, and I've already told you about this. I'm faced with how do I get insurance on March 31st, 2022 on buildings that burn.
That already exists. They're constructed.
Already exist.
Yep.
So one of the challenges that I'm going to have as the leader of a community is how do I ensure the buildings that survive the fire? So tell me a little bit about this insurance. Tell me what your experience now is with insurance companies when it comes to AAC product.
Well, right now they have to be educated about it also. I'm in the process of doing that in the state of California. In Oregon, they've already been educated about it. They have to be educated about it. And once they are educated about it, I think they're not only going to embrace it, even though they can't promote it, they are certainly going to circulate the education they've gotten about it. And if they'd be real about it, they could offer a discount for people who either retrofitted or built their home out of AAC, because they're virtually guaranteed of a claim not coming against them, except maybe for the wood house next door that burned and maybe did a little smoke damage on the AAC home. But that's a lot cheaper than having to put people up for 1.5 years, 2 years, and then have to rebuild their home.
I want to hang a picture. All right, so thanks for your comments on insurance. My final 2 questions, and this one here. I live in a place that is earthquake free. You're building AAC in California, which apparently has earthquake issues. So tell me about AAC in comparison to other materials when it comes to earthquakes. So I'm looking at the strength of AAC compared to others. So tell me about earthquake.
Earthquakes, it's in the engineering vernacular, AAC has ductility or flexural strength. In other words, it's allowed to move and come right back into design integrity. which in an earthquake, that's very, very critical. Got examples in Kobe, Japan, got examples in Turkey. I'm sure Haiti right now wish that they had a lot of AAC structures in it, you know?
Okay, John, I know that we're here in a public place and you're going to want to start wrapping up and getting ready. My final question for you is probably the number one reason how humanity makes decisions is, you tell me how much your product is.
In comparison, right now, we're beating stick framing to death in California. We're beating it to death. And I don't know of any other system that can be done as cost effectively as AAC.
So what you're telling me then is that, we measure, as Canadians, we measure cost per square foot. So tell me cost per square foot, but it's hard because you have brick, you have cladding, right? You have interior. So how much is it going to cost me per square foot? Let's say it's for $1,000 home, or 1,000 square foot home. What do you tell me what can you build it for?
Right now, we're starting 4 more homes in Paradise, okay? They're up to 1,800 square feet plus a 600 square foot garage. We're building it for $240 a square foot US, and that's with all the bells and whistles. That's real stone veneer, that's marble countertops, custom cabinets, so on and so forth.
All right, so I've never worked with cinder block in my life, but that's that CMU you're talking about. So your product is not a cinder block because it's solid.
Right.
Right, so does it stack up against concrete foundations, which is the number one use here, so basements and foundations. So tell me about your product as a use as a foundation.
To use it for hydraulic retention, you're having to put the same amount of reinforcement as you would with concrete, okay? And at that point, it's not cost effective because you're cutting the block up and putting verticals and horizontals in it. You're better off to do the footings or the stem walls with concrete. If it's a basement scenario, do it out of concrete and then clad the interior, which eliminates the dusk damp smell in basements. Clad the interior with a 4-inch block, and you've added insulation to that also.